right, 5th grade, I'm back for another video. We are going to be learning about Module 2, Lesson 11 today. So Module 2, Lesson 11 is very similar to the Lesson 10 lesson, but this time we're going to be multiplying with decimals to the hundredths place. So yesterday's lesson, we only went to the tenths. Today we're going to the hundredths, but all of the steps that we do are going to be exactly the same. So let's go ahead and get started, and please remember your rules. Make sure that you're following along either on your desk or in your notebook. If you do it in your notebook, that's going to be really great because you can use those notes then for your homework tonight. Also, make sure you're actively listening to all of the lessons and that you're following along and engaged in the lesson. So let's take a look at our first problem. Our first problem is 7.38 or 7 38 hundredths times 41. Now I'm going to make my area model for this. Remember, I draw my box. And then I need to figure out where my numbers need to go. Remember, I like to have my whole numbers on this side, and I like to have my decimals up on the top. So if it helps you, you can reverse the order of this problem. So instead of 7.38 times 41, you can write it as 41 times 7.38. So my first step will be to take my first factor, 41, write it in expanded form off to the side. Remember, I like to use my smallest place value first and then make my way to my largest place value. So I have 1 plus 40, so I have 41 on the side, and then at the top, I now need to take the 7.38 and write it up here. But I first need to decompose it. Since this last digit is in the hundredths place, it's going to decompose all the way to the hundredths place. So remember, it's kind of like I have this number right here. I take away the decimal, and the place value that that last number is in is the units I write over here. So if this 8 was in the hundredths place, I erase my decimal, and I just write hundredths right next to that. And now, if you remember from yesterday, I need to take this number without the decimal, and I need to write that in expanded form. So 738 needs to be written as 700 plus 30 plus 8, because I have 7 hundredths, 3 tens, and 8 ones. I'm going to take this and put it at the top of my area model. So I have 700 plus 30 plus 8. Now, wherever I see a plus sign, I have to make sure I draw my lines. So we'll go ahead and do that. And now I need to multiply. So remember, I start with my finger at the top, my finger at the side, put them together, and what do I get? So 700 times 1 is just 700. Make sure that you're following along with me right now, doing this problem on your desk or in your notebook. Then I have 30 times 1. Put those together, and I get 30. 30 times 1 is 30. 8 times 1, bring those together, and I get 8. Now I need to multiply for this row down here. So I do 700 times 40. Remember, I can think of that as 7 times 4 and then add my zeros. So 7 times 4 is 28 with 1, 2, 3 zeros added. 1, 2, 3 zeros added. So we should have 28,000 right here. And then I'm going to do 30 times 40. I'll put those down here. So 3 times 4 is 12. And then I have 2 zeros that are added. 1, 2. Then I need to multiply 8 times 40 and put that answer here. Bring it there, bring it there. Bring them together. 8 times 4 is 32. And then I add the 0. Now, our numbers are going to be a little bit bigger now, so I might not always be able to add them all up in my head. I might need to set up a standard algorithm to add everything up and then add up to find my final product. So I'm going to give myself some space. I know that 700 plus 30 plus 8 is 738. It's kind of the easy one. So I'll write that right here. So that's one of my partial products. And then I need to add up these 3 numbers. Since these numbers are a little bit more difficult, I'm going to set up a standard algorithm. So I have 2,800 plus 1,200 plus 320. Remember, I usually like to have my largest number on top. Then I'm going to add, so 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 plus 2 is 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. Carry the 1, leave the 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. So I have another partial product of 4,320. And that will be all of these numbers out of oh, I made a mistake though. I should have 28,000 actually. So I made it, oops. So that should be 28,000 plus 1,200 plus 320. So I'm actually going to have a little bit of a different partial product. Teachers make mistakes too. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. 8 plus 1 is 9. And then 2 plus nothing is just 2. So that would be your correct partial product. Now I need to add up both of these numbers together now. So I'm going to erase some of this. And I need to add up 2,900, 520 plus 738. So I need to add up my partial products to get my final answer. So 0 plus 8 is 8. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. I carry the 1, leave the 2. 1 plus 9 is 10, so I carry the 1. I leave the 0. And then 1 plus 2 is 3. Now, this is where it's important to remember that your answer is not 30,258, is 30,258 hundredths. So with that, having those units, this is the unit form of my answer. I need to now write it in standard form with my decimal. So I'm going to rewrite this number. And I'm going to think about if this last number has to be in my hundredths place, where do I put my decimal? Well, I know that this is the hundredths place. This is the tenths place. That means that my decimal has to go right here, because then that is my ones place. So this is your answer with using the area model. We're going to try it with the standard algorithm now. So I'm going to erase my area model. And I'm going to set up 7.38 times 41. Remember what I said in class? I usually like to have the number with more digits on the top, just because I'm not going to have to worry about as many partial products or lining it up incorrectly. So let's go ahead and start solving for our standard algorithm. So I have 1 times 8, which is 8. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 7 is 7, and that actually matches our first partial products from our area model. Then make sure that you add a 0 because you're moving to your next row, and this 4 is in the tens place. I do 4 times 8, which is 32, so I carry the 3. I leave the 2. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. I carry the 1. I leave the 5. 7 times 4 is 28. 28 plus 1 is 29. And I get an answer of 29,520, just like my partial product from my area model. I can now add up all of these numbers. 8 plus 0 is 8. 3 plus 2 is 5. 7 plus 5 is 12. I carry the 1, leave the 2. 1 plus 9 is 10. Carry the 1, leave the 0. And 1 plus 2 is 3. And I get an answer of it looks like 30,258, but I have to make sure that I bring my decimal down. So my decimals are here, and needs to be 2 digits over. So my decimal will be right in between my 2 and my 5, just like it was over here. If that helps you, you can also write the units next to this instead of having the decimal there. You can remember that this is hundredths. So that when you get down to this final answer, you know that this 8 is in the hundredths place, and you have to have your decimal right there. So that is our first problem. Make sure that you're following along with me. You can start erasing your desk and moving on to the next problem now, which is going to be 8.26 times 128. And we're going to have a really big area model now. So let me erase what is up here. And I'm going to write this new problem. So we have 128 I'm going to flip-flop it just because I'm going to do that for my area model anyways. So I have 128 times 8.26. Right now, what I would like you to do is pause this video, and I want you to try and solve this problem on your own using the area model. So figure out how would you set this up, do your area model, and then unpause it after you have your work done. So let's get started on our area model. So I, again, will draw my box. Make sure you draw a kind of big one for this because we have a lot of digits to work with. On the side, I have the number 128, and I have to write that in expanded form. So I have 8 ones. Remember, I like to start with my smallest place value. 8 ones plus 2 tens, so that is 20, plus 100. 100. So I have all of my numbers for the side of my area model. I draw my lines where I see my plus signs. And then at the top, I need to decompose this 8.26 or 8 and 26 hundredths. So to do this, I think of this as I have this 6 in my hundredths place. That is my smallest place value. So I'm going to write the unit hundredths next to this number. I'm going to erase my decimal, and I now have 826 hundredths. And I just need to write this number in expanded form. So I have 8 hundredths plus 2 tens, which is 20, plus 6 ones. So my expanded form is 800 plus 20 plus 6. This all needs to go at the top of my area model. So I have 800 plus 20 plus 6, and draw the lines where I see my plus signs. Now we have a lot of multiplying to do, but just keep in mind that as we're doing this, we're still going to add up all of our numbers across like this to get our partial products. So let's start with this box. I have 8 times 800. So I think of that as 8 times 8, which is 64, and I add 2 zeros. And then I have 8 times 20 for this box. So 8 times 2 is 16, plus 1 0. And then 8 times 6, or 6 times 8 is 48. So I put that all right there. Then I need to do 800 times 20, so 2 times 8 again is 16. And I have to add 1, 2, 3 zeros. And then I have to do my next box, 20 times 20. So that is going to be 2 times 2, which is 4. And then I add 2 zeros, 1, 2. Then I do 20 times 6, so I think of that as 2 times 6, which is 12. And I add 1 0. Down here, we need to do 800 times 100. So 8 times 1 is 8. And I have to add 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. After that, I need to multiply this box. So 20 times 100. So 2 times 1 is 2. And I add 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3 zeros. Last but not least, I do 100 times 6. So 6 times 1 is 6. And then I add 2 zeros to this. Now this is a lot of work to do, so make sure that you're double checking your work as you're going through. You can use the multiplication tables on your desk to help you out as well. And remember, I don't want to add up all 9 of these numbers to find my final product. That's going to be, there's a lot of room for error with that. So I want to add up these 3 to get my first partial product, these 3 to get my second partial product, and then these 3 to get my last partial product. I'm going to be setting up these 3 in a standard algorithm to figure out what that first partial product is. So let me erase this. And don't forget your units off to the side. This is hundredths. You don't want to forget that this is 826 hundredths, not just number 826. So I have 6,400 plus 160 plus 48. So I have all my numbers lined up by their place values, and I can start adding. So 0 plus 0 plus 8 is 8. 0 plus 6 plus 4 is 10. Carry the 1, leave the 0. 1 plus 4 plus 1 is 6. And 6 plus nothing is also 6. So my first partial product is 6,608. I'm going to erase my standard algorithm so I have some space And I'll write this first partial product next to my first row. Remember, we're not adding up vertically anymore, we're adding up horizontally. After that, I need to add up my next row of numbers. So I have 16,000 plus 400 plus 120. Very important that your place values are lined up in this situation. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 plus 2 is 2. 4 plus 1 is 5. 6 plus nothing, 6. And 1 plus nothing, 1. So I have 16,520 as my next partial product. And now I need to find my last one, so I'm going to erase this again. So I have 80,000 plus 2,000 plus 600. So I'm going to add up these three numbers. 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. And 0 plus 0 plus 6 is 6. 0 plus 2 is 2. And 8 plus nothing is 8. So my last partial product is 82,600. Now I need to add up all three of these numbers, so I will set that up to the side. So starting with my biggest number at the top, I'm going to have 82,600 plus 16,520 plus my smallest partial product of 6,608. And now we can finally get our final products. So 0 plus 0 plus 8 is 8. 0 plus 2 plus 0 is 2. 6, I'm going to do 6 plus 6, which is 12. 12 plus 5 is 17. I carry the 1, leave the 7. Then I need to do, let's do 6 plus 2 is 8. Or let's do 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 plus 1 is 15. So I carry the 1, leave the 5, and then 1 plus 8 plus 1 is 10. So my answer looks like it's 105,728. But remember, I need to have units on this answer. And right now my units are hundredths. So I'm going to do my trick again where I rewrite the numbers that I see right here. And I think about if this is the hundredths place then this is my tenths, this is my ones, so I need to have my decimal right there. And my final answer is 1,057 and 28 hundredths. If you have any questions, please make sure you raise your hands. I know this is a lot of work to do, but please, if you have questions, please ask. We're going to do the standard algorithm now, so I'm going to erase my area model. And for certain parts of that problem, if you were confused about something, you can always rewind the video and look at different sections to help you out. So I'm going to set up my standard algorithm. So I have 128 times 8.26. Make sure your decimal is in there. Remember, if you don't want to write your decimal, you could always write it with the units on the side like this, like 826 hundredths. You could also do that and then add your decimal. So let's get multiplying. So I have 6 times 8, which is 48. I carry the 4, leave the 8. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. Carry the 1, leave the 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. So I have 868. Then I need to add a 0. 2 times 8 is 16. So I carry the 1. I leave the 6. Then 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. Then I do 2 times 1, which is 2. Now you might notice that my partial products are actually different from what we saw over here. That's because my order might have been a little bit different when I was doing this problem. So that's why my partial products are looking different right now. Now, since I'm multiplying a number that's in the hundreds place, I need to add 2 zeros and then do 8 times 8, which is 64. Carry the 6, leave the 4. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 plus 6 is 22. So I carry the 2. I leave the 2. And then I do 8 times 1, which is 8, and 8 plus 2 is 10. I'm now going to add up my partial products, and then I do 8 plus 0, which is 8. 6 plus 6 is 12, so I carry the 1, leave the 2. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. Or I could have done 1 plus 8 is 9. 5 plus 4 is also 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. Carry the 1, leave the 8. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. 0 and 1. And we're on somewhere wrong. Let's see, where do we go wrong? All right, Miss Ghost found her mistake. So when I was multiplying my first factor, I did my 6 times 8 is 48, 6 times 2 is 12, plus that was 16. Then when I got to 6 times 1, I was supposed to add 1, but for some reason I made this an 8 instead of a 7. So I should have done 6 times 1 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7, not 8. So again, teachers make mistakes. But I was able to fix my mistake, and I have my 7 there now. If you also made that mistake, totally fine. Just make sure you're fixing your mistakes as you go along. Now remember, I want to bring down my units. So right now I technically have 105,728 hundredths. But what I need to do is I need to make sure that I don't want my answer in unit form. I want it in standard form. So I put my decimal right here. Also, you could have brought your decimal straight down and you would have gotten your answer like that as well. Now that we're finally done with this problem, that was a lot of work, but you guys are doing great. If you have any questions, please make sure you raise your hand. We're going to move on to our last problem for today. So our last problem is going to be a little bit bigger than the numbers we've been used to, but I think you guys will do great. So we have 63 times 82.51, or 82 and 51 hundredths. Go ahead and stop the video right here, and I want you to try to do this problem with the area model, and then you can replay the video after you have your area model done. So for my area model, I want to make sure again that I have a big box so I can fit everything inside of it. So I take my first factor, which is 63, and I'm going to write that in expanded form. So I have 3 plus 60, and then I have 82 and 51 hundredths. I'll do my trick again where I have 82 and 51 hundredths. My smallest place value is my hundredths place, so I'm going to write those units off to the sides, and then I'm going to erase my decimal points. Now I have 8,251 hundredths. I'm going to write the expanded form of this number, which is 8,000 plus 200 plus 50 plus 1. And that is going to go at the top of my area model. So it starts with 8,000 plus 200 plus 50 plus 1. Draw my lines wherever I see a plus sign. And then I can multiply. So we're going to have a lot of boxes to fill in again, but we got this. I have 8,000 times 3, so I think of that as 8 times 3, which is 24. Then I add 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3. Then I do 3 times 200, so I think of that as 3 times 2, which is 6. And then I add 2 zeros. And then after that, I need to do 50 times 3, so 5 times 3 is 15. And then I add 1 0, and then 3 times 1, which is 3. So your first number should be 24,600, 150, and 3. Then for my last box, or my last row, I need to do 60 times 8,000. So 6 times 8 is 48. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros to add. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 480,000 in that first box. Then I do 60 times 200. 6 times 2 is 12. And then I add 1, 2, 3 zeros. 2, 3 zeros. Then I do 60 times 50. So 6 times 5 is 30. And then I add 2 zeros. So I should have 3,000 there. Last but not least, I do 60 times 1, which is 60. And I now need to add up to find my partial products. So I'm going to take these four numbers right here and start adding them. So I have 24,000 plus 600, 150, and 3. Again, it is very, very important that your place values line up. I go ahead and add 0 plus 3 is 3, 0 plus 5 is 5, 0 plus 6 plus 1 is 7, 4, and 2. So my first partial product is 24,753. So I'm going to erase what I have right here and write that. So 24,753. And I now need to add up the numbers right here to find my next partial products. So I have 480,000 plus 12,000 plus 3,000 plus 60. Again, I need to make sure my place values are all lined up, and I can start adding. 0 plus 2 plus 3 is 5, 8 plus 1 is 9, and then I have 4. So I have 495,060. I'm going to erase that, and I then write this off to the side so I know what my two partial products are. I now need to add these two numbers to get my final answer. So I have 495,060 plus 24,753. Please make sure your place values are lined up. Go ahead and start adding. 0 plus 3 is 3, 6 plus 5 is 11, 1 plus 7 is 8, 5 plus 4 is 9, 9 plus 2 is 11, and 1 plus 4 is 5. So it looks like I have 519,813 as my answer, but remember I have my units on that, so that is hundredths. Units are hundredths on this. So I now need to rewrite this. So I'm going to write it over here so you can see it. And I have to think about if this number is supposed to be my hundredths place, where does my decimal go? So I have my hundredths, I have my tenths, my ones are right here. So my decimal has to go in between my tenths and my ones place. Now I'll get rid of that comma there. So my answer is actually 5,198 and 1300ths. If you got this right, give yourself a pat on the back because that was a tough problem. We're going to do the standard algorithm now. So I'm going to erase everything but my answer. And hopefully I don't have any hiccups this time. So again, I'm going to have the number with the most digits up on top just because that makes it easier for myself. So I'm going to have 82.51 times 63. Remember, if you want to, you can write the units hundredths right here instead of just bringing down your decimal at the end. But let's start multiplying. So I have 3 times 1, which is 3. And if you haven't already done the standard algorithm on your desk, please pause this video and do the standard algorithm for this problem and then replay it once you have your answer. So 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 2 is 5, 5 plus 1 is 6, 3 times 8 is 24. So let me just make sure my math is all correct. So 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7, and then 3 times 8 is 24. Gotta make sure we double check our math. Now I'm going to add a 0 and start multiplying this 6. So 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 5 is 30, so I carry the 3, leave the 0. 6 times 2 is 12, 12 plus 3 is 15, I carry the 1, leave the 5. And then 6 times 8 is 48, plus 1 is 49. And if you notice, these partial products are just like the ones we have from our area model. I can now add up my numbers. So 3 plus 0 is 3, 5 plus 6 is 11, 1 plus 7 plus 0 is 8. Then I have 4 plus 5 is 9, 2 plus 9 is 11, 1 plus 4 is 5. Then I had to make sure I include my decimal in my answer. So my decimal is going to come straight down. And it's really important that when you take your decimal straight down, that your decimal points are lined up. If you have a problem with lining up your place values, you might want to just write the units next to this, get rid of that decimal, and then think about your answer without the decimal first, with those units next to it, and then think about, okay, this is my hundredths place, this is my tenths, this is in my ones, where does my decimal go? Right there in between. So these are the problems that we did for lesson 11. We are done with this lesson. If you have any questions, please make sure you raise your hands. I know this was kind of a difficult lesson because the numbers are so much bigger than we are used to. But I'm going to give you the problem sets now, and I would like you to get started on that. So for your problem set today, you are going to be doing the lesson 11 problem sets, and you are doing number 1, A through B, and number 2, A through D. So just like yesterday's problem sets, you'll be doing the same type of problems, and it's still going to be where you have to do the area model, the standard algorithm, and then there's a couple of extra parts where you have to think about your answers and estimates, but I know that we can help you with that. So if you have any questions, please make sure you raise your hands and ask. And good job.